All right, Ross, welcome to Revelstoke Responders. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
Glad to have you here.
It's a great name.
It's a pretty good name.
Did you come up with it?
I did.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, dude. This is pretty cool, what you're doing. Happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, no, we're glad you joined. I'm having you on because you are the first responder of Revelstoke.
I don't know about that. But.
Wow. Laying off some of your groups that you're part of.
Right.
Local volunteer firefighter. You're part of the search and rescue.
We're going to go through the resume, yeah.
You're a paramedic in town.
Yeah.
You're a member of Ski Patrol.
Yeah.
And a member of CARDA, which is the Canadian Avalanche Rescue Dog Association.
Yes, that's correct.
Did I miss anything?
How far back are we going?
Just your resume right now.
Okay.
And then we'll go back in time.
Okay. Resume right now. Yeah, CARDA, my dog Moet and I, are with CARDA, but also the BC Search Dog Association. The fire department's here. What do you classify first response?
You know, you get the call in the middle of the night and that gets you out of bed for a reason or two.
So just the response, not the mitigation, not the
and then
preparedness.
Then there's that as well. So that's
the community building.
Yeah.
No, I think it'll come out later in the history, but that's about it. There was one more that I thought of, but we'll get to it.
Okay. So going back to it, where are you from and what brought you to Revelstoke?
I'm from the Maritimes, originally from New Brunswick. Grew up in southeast New Brunswick. Grew up skiing, grew up playing hockey. Skiing went out because I wasn't a good enough hockey player. Grew up in New Brunswick. Always had a sort of love of BC in the mountains. I've always wanted to move out here. Had friends who grew up, came out here for the skiing and whatnot. I went to university for some reason initially. Became a teacher, so that's kind of my background. When I first moved out west, I wanted to get into forest firefighting to pay off the student loans, and then got into the avalanche side of things, to something to do between fire seasons. And then somehow became a paramedic here in town, and somewhere in there I got a master's in disaster emergency management. Yeah, that pretty much covers it. I was living first moved to Kananaskis when I was working, I was doing outdoor ed with at-risk teens, canoe trips, stuff like that. Living in Kananaskis, moved to Fernie. Every time we got rain in Fernie, it snowed here. Came here for one season, and then back then I had aspirations to join the Coast Guard. So tried to join the Coast Guard, but that failed. Got a job patrolling here, and it really ticked off all the boxes of what I wanted in a job. So ended up staying here and kept with Wildfire for a number of years. But yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
When did you start patrolling in Revelstoke?
So I started, like most people, I shouldn't say most people, a lot of people, volunteering, 2012.
Okay.
So I've been there for 12 years. Later that season, I got hired on, I want to say in February. Went back to Wildfire, and then came back here for the patrol. And did that for what felt like a long time. Eventually the migration every 6 months felt like a goose.
Yeah.
Like of heading up north. I was working in Fort St. John for Wildfire, and then coming back down here in the fall, packing everything up. Got a little old. Girlfriend at the time wasn't really into it. And so eventually, partially because of just like wanting to stay in one spot and my knees giving out, picked the town over the dream job that I had with Wildfire at the time.
Was there an aha moment that made you jump into, because you started off as a teacher, but then you have kind of heavily diverted into Wildfire, Ski Patrol, that sort of, I would say, more action-packed career choice? Was there a moment or an inspiration that caused that?
Children.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, no, not exactly. The high school here in town and the kids in town and the staff and the administration, everyone's super awesome. So it's a super easy school to work at. When I first started teaching, taught at a lot of really tough schools. Not here, not even in this province. But I love the outdoor ed, the canoe trips, horseback riding, everything we did with them was fantastic. But as soon as I got in the classroom, I couldn't sit still long enough, let alone making a room full of kids sit still. So, I still do teach and I love it. It's great. Everything in this town, the elementary, the high school, it's great. It's easy. Or I shouldn't say easy. It's enjoyable. But there was sort of like, I wanted something more, what's the word for it? Kinetically dynamic, of able to use my body to move around and kind of every once in a while have to run for your life sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What inspired the Coast Guard? Was that just you're an East Coast boy and
pretty
always
much
been around the ocean?
Yeah, pretty much. Someone asked me why not the military, and I wasn't able to just bridge that long enough. I actually ended up applying later on. The Coast Guard said, what did the Coast Guard say? They said I wasn't quite smart enough, so I didn't pass the testing. The Army said I was too old. I tried to be, I applied, I went actually to Trenton or Borden? Borden. Anyways, to do testing to be a pilot.
Oh yeah.
That was the hardest testing I've ever done.
Cool.
I've written the LSATs. That was another aspiration of doing the LSATs twice. But again, not being smart enough for that either. Yeah, it was just I got into Wildfire to pay off the student loans. And then it just started snowballing. There's so many analogies you could use. Into like, it was a really awesome job. It ticked a lot of the boxes. I worked with the best people in the world. We were doing some of the coolest stuff in the world. Got to see parts of the province, parts of like basically the whole Pacific Northwest. Went to, Idaho, Washington, not quite down to Utah, but Wyoming, Montana, places like that.
Yeah.
Yukon, places like I would never have seen before and never done before. And every once in a while, I was like, man, my guidance counselor really dropped the ball on not letting me know about, this sort of situation. And I think that's what we do a lot when we grow up. I'm from rural New Brunswick. You're from Ontario. We see like the things that we think we're going to do are the jobs we see our parents do or the adults around us do. And I was like, teacher, yeah, sure, I'll take my summers off, that sort of thing, or
right.
Whatever, right? So you go down this path not knowing that might not be best suited for you. Mm-hmm. So, and it was just a really good fit. Kind of fell into it because I had crippling student loan. I don't anymore, thanks to Wildfire. But yeah, so just kind of moved down that path.
And do you think, you said you played hockey growing up? I played football growing up, and when I stopped playing football, I missed that team.
Stop it, you didn't.
I did. I missed that team environment where you're working together for a mutual goal and you're training and you kind of build that bond with those people. And
100%.
finding that in our adult lives, I find is much trickier now.
Much trickier.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I remember even like sitting down and writing, like, okay, this is what I want my job, my aspect to be. It's just like that individual, like, yeah, I'm sure just like you, we played individual sports, but it was that team environment, playing hockey or that sort of thing, really, really missed. And again, like, I mean, I would say that's why 95% of us at the fire department are there, is for that team aspect, and the other 5% is to give back to the community. That, you know, you can make money doing a bunch of different things. You can do some really cool stuff alone, but it's always better in that team. But it's like, you know, that old saying of you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together, sort of thing. So it was definitely that team aspect. When I left Wildfire, I was really, really missing it. And I kind of left Wildfire and went more into, you know, using that emergency management background. And I remember I've left Revelstoke a couple times to pursue careers or whatever. And I grabbed a beer with a friend before I left town the night before, and I was like, the way I was framing it to him, I was like, yeah, you know, man, like, it's, you know, when patrolling or Wildfire, you always have people around. And even when I first started here, lived with the same people that I worked with, and even like the people who, you know, work up at the hill now, they all live together and they party together and eat meals together and work together, which for some people that can sound awful. And it does, you know, especially after the end of a long season, it can be. But at the same time, it's awesome. And I think that, anyways, I was explaining this to him and he looked at me and was like, you never had to make friends as an adult, have you? And so the downside, I was like, I don't know if I have.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah, I mean, you got a bunch of the coolest people in the world with you all the time. So, yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah,
and they become your family.
For sure.
Yeah.
Just being surrounded by that like-mindedness because they're there for the same reasons you are. And no, it's really great. So what did you do with Wildfire?
It took a while to get in. I have no idea. I'm sure, you know, some people watch this and think, yeah, I tried to get in for 3 years, but I'm, if not anything, persistent. So I was applying to BC and Alberta. Finally got into Alberta RAP, and I did Wildfire Repel with the Alberta, back then it was called the Sustainable Resource Development. I was based out of Hinton for 2 years, so we're repelling out of teams of 7. It's different in BC, but we had teams of groups of 7 out of 212s, and did that for 2 years, and then finally got in with BC with their smoke jumper program in Fort St. John, and that's instead of, you know, rappelling out of a helicopter, you're parachuting out of back then we only had a Twin Otter, smaller plane, and then a DC-3, I guess, for all the aviation aficionados.
Bigger plane.
Bigger plane, yeah. My, I guess it goes back to my brother was 6 years older than me. He's a forest ranger back in New Brunswick, but he and loves Wildfire. Like, that's what he does kind of most of the time for the government of New Brunswick. But this movie came out when I was quite little and he was younger, called Firestorm.
Okay.
Which he made me watch over and over again. And it's about like Howie Long, the ex-football player, is in it, and it's a very, very Hollywood movie, but there's smoke jumpers in it, and it's so incredibly cheesy. And so that might have been that seemed like the hardest thing to do. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to do.
Cole's notes, what does it take to become a RAP firefighter or a smoke jumper? And for those who don't know, a 212 is a kind of helicopter.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously not much. I did it. Like persistence.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's weight restrictions, obviously, and there's a fitness aspect to it. But I always think there's 3 things. And my math's going to be off because I'm probably going to say 4. your physical fitness is obviously a big thing. And, if you're doing, there's restrictions, you got to be under 200 pounds or 180 pounds or 170 pounds, depending on what you're doing. The team environment, like at the end of the day, are people going to want to hang out with you? And can you pick stuff up? Because really, you can teach a monkey to pour water on a burning tree. Yeah, have the right attitude. If someone says, hey, can you do this? And I want it done exactly like this. And you're just like, oh, what if I do it this way? And it's like, just do it the way.
Right.
Yeah. The BC4 service has been around since 1912. And
being able to work in some pretty interesting environments as well.
Yeah.
A little adaptability.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a paramilitary type organization. So if someone tells you to do 50 push-ups because you messed up on something in training, then you do that. It's a bit different now. I mean,
any memorable stories of jumping out of a plane with a parachute on your back into a forest fire? I mean, that sentence alone is pretty cool, but
yeah. And again, there should be a disclaimer, like, it's like anything. Like when you say a sentence like that, like technically, yeah, okay, that is what's happening. But at the same time, it's not like,
oh, I'm sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
95% of the time you're somewhere waiting to be like you're staged somewhere, or you're packing gear, or you're preparing gear.
Yeah, even like that, or like here, like, we go to a call and like go flying down the road, lights and sirens, or on. Same with the, at the fire department.
Yeah.
It's a high risk, professional industry where you practice so much and it comes, you're such a professional at it. And this is like all industries within first responders, or at least it should be, that when it comes time to do it, it almost seems boring.
Right.
It almost seems like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely been a few. There's, the first jump was the very memorable. I didn't even land in the same field as everyone else. I think I put a record. The last thing they said before I jumped out of the plane is like, stay away from your drumsticks, partner. And I did. I landed with the wind on a really windy day on my second jump. I got on the tarp, but it was surprising that I still had knees afterwards. Yeah, one jump we did, we emptied out the whole plane. That was really good. It was the first time we ever jumped out of that newer plane, and we just emptied it all into one fire. And there you go. Here's, what was it? Here's, I guess, 13 people. You don't have to worry about this fire anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Are they static line, or are you jumping out in
static line?
Static line, okay.
Yeah.
So that's when you're jumping out and something's attached to the plane.
Yeah.
Your parachute as you leap out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So after that, what kind of caused the jump to ambulance paramedic service?
Right. So, like I said, working for wildfire. Well, back then it was the Forest Service, but the wildfire service. It checked a lot of the boxes of what anyone or what I would want in a job. Ski patrolling was doing the same thing. The problem is that both are kind of seen, and I totally regret doing this now. I regret a lot of things. Anyways, like leaving wildfire for one, and also not looking at it as adult jobs. You know what I mean? Of having that, wanting more of a professionalized career.
Right.
And it kind of seemed like a natural progression. A lot of people who were patrollers usually go into that, and a lot of people who work for the wildfire service. I knew quite a few people who were paramedics and worked for the wildfire service. So I also wanted to start exploring the idea of structural and this kind of, if I go down this route, it'll be better apt for that. So again, left town again for a little bit to go to school for paramedic school. And a couple of people have done that now too. It's not something I would recommend unless you really like doing it, like being, the first aid trauma, yada, yada, of going down the paramedic route in order to better prepare yourself for the structural fire route. But
right.
We're here.
Yeah.
It's it's an interesting career. The first thing, because I really like ski patrolling, of like showing, or the ski patrolling, or I guess even the search and rescue aspect of showing up and someone's like in a traumatic event of they wrapped their snowmobile around a tree, or they fell off a cliff, or that sort of thing, or got into an avalanche. That they that aspect I really like, going from the house with the 90-year-old who fell down, or that sort of thing. I find that a little tough. But what I really actually ended up noticing that I like is sitting with that 90-year-old and asking them about their life. Or one of my first patients here, we took to Salmon Arm, and he had worked on the railroad for I don't know, like 60 years, and was driving he is long since retired, but just hearing those life stories, or just the having now, I guess it's what I really like about the job is helping out people in the community that I see all the time. And for whatever reason, and this happened this morning as well, all the neighbors in the circumference, or a good chunk of the neighbors in the around where I live, I have responded to them. So I don't know if that's just like a black hole there that is sucking in bad energy, but yeah. And then you see them later, it's like, oh, how's it going? Like that sort of thing. So it's nice being in a small community and be able to provide that service to people or people you see, or that sort of thing.
Have you worked for ambulance in a bigger center?
Just when I was going through like precepting, like, so you're, what would you say, like a paramedic intern? Yeah. And back when I did it, I had to go to a lot of different places, Victoria and Nanaimo, did a lot in Vernon, Kelowna Trail. Yeah.
So,
but
you like the small town feel? And
I do. Also, like, just this is the nicest station in the province.
There you go.
Like, hands down. Like, anyone in the ambulance service will say this is the nicest station. But also, and I'm sure because you've met them, because you're doing this, we have the best hospital staff in the province. The nurses and the doctors are unreal. They're so good. They're so friendly. They're so helpful. With me, they're so patient and so willing to explain things to me, talk slow and use small words. Our RCMP are unreal. Yeah, they're so helpful. We'll see them on shift and just chat for a while because, until there's a call going on. Yeah, the same with the search and rescue, volunteers, but the professional volunteers, and some of them been doing it for like 40, 50 years. Parks as well. The visitor safety group and the avalanche control group at Parks is unreal. Like, they're basically paramedics. It's just a whole, like, there's no, and obviously patrol as well. There's just no better place to get sick or injured than this town. Right here. Yeah.
Come all.
Yeah. It's such an awesome team, as I'm sure you're realizing with the first response.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. It's something I think we see whenever we go on calls and bump into paramedics or RCMP on the road, and you kind of realize how well we all work together. And when did you join SAR, or how long have you been working for search and rescue? And
basically as soon as I got to town.
Yeah.
And so with that, when I showed up in December of 2012, the SAR group was pretty welcoming. And because I was in Fort St. John at the time, I was also a member of North Peace Search and Rescue.
Okay.
So I was able to go back and forth and do what I could before, back then June monsoon was a real thing.
Yeah.
Typically. So able to do that a bit more.
You've worked in a lot of these industries and these first responding realms. Has it changed your day-to-day life? Do you kind of go about your daily business in a different way, do you think, than you would have should you not have been part of these worlds?
I guess in a benefit way, like things that, aspects that the way I kind of conduct myself or whatever you want to call it in the day-to-day world sort of thing is just, and, they drill you this into in Wildfire is situational awareness of like, seeing a threat or like avoiding, threats. And I kind of like, when I say threat, I'm more like thinking I'm driving on the highway or whatever, and just being aware of surroundings a lot more. First year ski patrolling, someone who's a forecaster now said, know that anytime the pager, the gong, that anything will go off, and kind of, what are you going to do? So, and patrolling, it's like, okay, all of a sudden I find this person, he's unresponsive in this forest in the back 40 glades. Okay, like always sort of thinking like, okay, what if I see this? What am I going to do? How am I going to call this in? How am I going to communicate this? What am I going to look for? That sort of thing. So that's what, like right now, we're at the ambulance station. The phone goes off. First answer it, but as soon as, there's certain things I need to do before I get out to the ambulance and then go. So just having that sort of mentality of, I guess, a linear progression if there's any sort of emergency. Mm-hmm. If I wake up in the middle of the night and the smoke alarm's going off, I'm going to grab my dog, probably my phone because it's next to my bed, and run for the door while I call 911. Chris Hadfield.
Yeah, astronaut.
Yeah, astronaut.
Yeah.
Yeah. He always had a quote. It's like managing the ISS was basically driving, 100 miles down the highway and think of all the worst things that could happen. So kind of like being in that mindset. But there's a flip side of always being, on or whatever, and understanding that sometimes you got to take it off, which I find hard to do sometimes.
Yeah.
Which again goes back to the sort of burnout sort of thing. So like, if I'm handing in my ambulance pager, my fire pager, I'm picking up a different pager or phone or, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So like there's a trade-off there. It does kind of make life simple problems seem a little easier because it puts them in perspective.
Right.
So I'm pretty grateful for that sort of thing.
Yeah, I would say the biggest shift for me with the fire pager is that even today to this interview, I'm wearing flip-flops, but in my car, I have a pair of socks.
Yeah.
So should a call come in, I can put socks on and jump into my turnouts.
Yeah.
Something that I would never have thought about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's just those little micro kind of adjustments. Like I always back my car in, so it's easier to get out.
Yeah.
Those like little things, I don't even think about it anymore, but there's just always that little voice in the back of my head is like, what happens if you get a call, or what happens if X? And it just kind of, people in my life have noticed it, and they're kind of like, oh, that's interesting. Like I would never think about that. And you're like, yeah, why would you? Is there anything, a misconception that you think the public has about any sort of the paths you've been in: wildfire, search and rescue, ambulance, structural?
I want to talk about wildfire because that's the industry that I love the most, but I've been out of it for such a long time. I think when it comes to wildfire, public perception is changing because we've had such serious wildfire years that public used to be like, oh, like, government work. I don't think they got enough respect, and I still don't think they get enough respect. but that could go for like any of the industries. Like no one in town wants to pay a ton of taxes for the fire department, or wants their taxes going to the fire department until their house catches on fire.
Right.
No one wants to like, you know, have their taxes go towards the RCMP until they're getting robbed, or, you know, that sort of thing. And, you know, same with the ambulance. It's like, oh, why are we paying the paramedics so much? And then someone has a heart attack. And so I think there's a misconception with that, of like they're not needed, but they are needed until, I mean, they might not be needed right now, but it is a public service that we need that net. I think everyone who's in these industries, 95% of them are in the industry for the right reason. And it's not, you know, the search and rescue person isn't in search and rescue so they can fly around, you know, Bagby in a helicopter. They dedicate every Thursday night and every time the phone call goes out to help you in your worst situation. No one gets into any of these industries for money. Some might for notoriety, but I haven't met any of them. If someone is upset for response time, know that everyone is going as fast as they can to help you in your worst situation, I guess. Yeah. Other than that, as far as like, you know, misconceptions, yeah, that's all I could really think of.
Yeah, I think something that a lot of people don't know even about our fire department is that 80% of our fire department is volunteer, where people coming to your call to the car accident or to your smoke detectors going off have left their home, their bed, they're on a dinner date with their partner, and they've left to run to the hall, put on their gear, jump in a truck and drive out. So that's, you know, to your response time, that's sometimes why things are a little slow, sometimes why they're fast. And
we get a lot because, and this is the absolute worst thing about, from what I can, and it's not the worst, it's kind of the worst thing, but it's not something that we can really fix. And since I wear all of these hats, I know kind of the hierarchy of protocol of how things are supposed to work for call outs. You know, if you're in the backcountry and you hurt yourself because you're in an avalanche and some of your friends are buried, you call 911 and ask for the RCMP, which then gets search and rescue. Like, there's different things of like, even when, you know, fire and ambulance are going to a car accident, I can't just call the phone and Rescue 7 and be like, hey guys, like, there's no entrapment. You can cancel, or you can go routine or whatever. It doesn't work like that. I have to call my dispatch, which then calls their dispatch, and because of those dispatches, and I do not envy those people, though those jobs are unreal, have to go up, you know, through call takers, and they're busy running, you know, the ambulance dispatch is in Kamloops and the fire dispatch is in Surrey. Like, they're running dispatch for other organizations too. So they got stuff going on, and sometimes stuff gets backed up. And that's why we can't respond to each other or respond to the public as easy as I would like. Having said that, again, we live in such a awesome community where people are, so interconnected, and I really like seeing that interconnectedness and building those relationships between the first responders and the public, but the first responders, so that when I go to, you know, an accident, or when I go to, like on Friday, that car accident off the bridge, I knew every single firefighter there and every single police officer there. And we could have that chat. We had that that trust. I guess the trust is the biggest thing with that I know you guys are going to do your part. We're going to do our part. And it's going to work as smoothly as possible.
Yeah, and there's definitely a bonus to be able to say a person's first name instead of, hey, you.
Yeah.
When you know someone especially in those situations where someone might be tunnel vision because they are looking at their one task.
Yeah.
And they need to hear their own voice instead of a call sign or a hey to get them back into the real world and be able to look around and then, address whatever's being called to them.
Yeah. And I mean, like, when we get transferred out and we're going on another call and, Vernon Fire Department or whoever shows up, and I was like, okay, like, your experience and your education, your training's here, but I don't know you.
Right.
That sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Do you find that challenging when you go to different towns on like a transfer and that do I forget what it's called, cross cover? So you end up working a call in a different town?
Not that challenging. This is the thing, like we call it, Kelly, who's been here for decades, who just retired, likes calling it the Revelstoke ambulance service, which, I didn't get into the ambulance service so that I could serve the community of, I don't know, pick any community. Yeah. Sigmoose, the cusp. Like, I got into it to serve this community.
Right. Is there anything else you want to add to say someone who wants to join Wildfire or join SAR?
Ooh, I can't really talk about any of these, like as a, spokesperson or anything.
No, but just from your experience, like pieces of advice that you've learned from others that where you found helpful, like when the gong goes off, kind of build that plan in your head, or when you're doing a SAR call.
It's easier to be prepared or be ready than get ready. Right. So like plan as if, not so much like, I guess just as a general, like plan as if no one's coming. Plan as if, the fire department's not going to come save your house, or plan as if the ambulance isn't coming or the cops aren't. Like, I think the biggest thing that people, and this is probably, like you said, I wouldn't have a job, but people should be way more reliant than they are. And they should be not thinking that a government institution's going to come save them. And I know that might not be popular in this realm, but the more self-reliant you can be, the better you can take care of yourself and your family and your neighbors and your community. I think it's going to be the stronger, more reliant community. So get a first aid kit, put it in your vehicle, put it in your house, check your smoke alarms, have a fire extinguisher and escape route. When you go hiking, do all the things that BC Adventure Smart, whatnot say. Have a map and compass and know how to use it. Always have your phone supercharged and have a lighter on you. Get your house fire smarted.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing, and be prepared to, evacuate or deal with the worst sort of thing.
Yeah.
As far as anyone you're asking about, if anyone wants to kind of get into any of this sort of industry.
Yeah.
And I think when I first started too, like it was in order to give back to the community, but there's other ways that you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, oh, maybe it's not as glamorous as like rescuing somebody, but it's like at the end of the day, like, a call we went to this morning, I used to volunteer with the senior society, and shoveling snow for the person in your community who can't, or raking their leaves, like that's just as useful, because it's not for everyone, and sometimes people find that out too late, like getting an education degree and realizing that maybe classroom management isn't for you.
Yeah.
Maybe I found that out, a few tens of thousands of dollars later than I should have. And again, like a lot of paramedics, it's not for them, once they, a couple hard calls. But again, it's not, we don't really know that.
Mm-hmm.
And you see it, and I see it time and again with search and rescue, with the fire department a bit, with and with patrol and here. I guess for people, I usually say you're a lot more resilient than you think you are. You're a lot tougher than you think you are. But also on the same note, don't try to mask it. Don't try to put on a veil of and just listen to yourself like, okay, maybe this isn't for me, sort of thing. And then burnout, again, try not to do too much. Walk before you run, crawl before you walk, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Did you try, because we spoke with Jill and Joel, and they mentioned that you could ride third as like an example.
Yeah.
Is there similar things in Wildfire where, I mean, probably not, like you couldn't really go do a sample Wildfire test?
Sample smoke jump?
Yeah.
They do have, I heard it's changing the junior IA program. So if like anyone's in high school and wants to go through that route. IA means initial attack for those who don't know.
Yeah.
Or I guess they do it for the unit crew. Again, I'm so far removed from that. I would, in that industry, swing by the base. We got, again, the people at our fire base here are some of the best in the province as well. And they've they've bounced around. They're super experienced, and they fought to be here in this town, working here. So anyone from the top to the bottom are all really awesome. They're probably knock on that door kind of, and I did the same thing when I was talking to someone in charge and being like, okay, what is this like? This is my background, that sort of thing. And as I was trying to get more experience, I was like, well, go tree planting. So I went tree planting.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a lot like tree planting.
There you go.
Yeah, if you can handle tree planting, you can handle
camp life, hard work out on the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surrounded by awesome people in a wicked environment.
Perfect.
Yeah, long hours.
Is there a go-to piece of equipment that you have? I mean, you mentioned a first aid kit. Do you have a cool first aid kit in your truck?
I always carry a knife, like whatever, pocket knife. I'm not, and this is for carry a pocket knife, a lighter, and usually there's some duct tape around the lighter, dog poop bags.
Yeah. Shout out to Moet.
Yeah. And then so that's usually on me at all times. And then in my, if I have a backpack, it's those things, plus some flagging tape, electrical tape, headlamp. And then a phone that's always charged. Mm-hmm. I think that's the big thing.
Yeah. It's getting
usually
a lot easier.
on airplane mode.
Yeah. It's getting a lot easier with phones now. The reach that you can get with them.
Yeah, 100%. And then I guess that's a lie. So in all of any of in the winter, any of my Gore-Tex, any of my outer layers always have the lighter, the knife, the duct tape, compass, like a real small one, and a notepad, and usually gloves. I almost always have at least one extra meal for Moet.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes a granola bar for me.
I was going to say, worst case, you could share with Moet.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, his food's more expensive than mine, so.
True.
Yeah.
Just quickly, we've chatted about Moet a few times. So Moet is your...
He's I got him in 2020 during COVID. I always wanted a dog. And always wanted to, as soon as I arrived in town, thought that would be amazing to go down the search and rescue side of things. And we got some awesome people here up at the ski hill who were, knocking on the door. Oh, why are you doing that? That sort of thing. Who are absolutely amazing, of just talking me through it and teaching me about the, that sort of thing of, well, yeah, you could do this and this. sort of thing. And I never, the wildfire thing just was not conducive. Again, another reason, be like, okay, well, if I pick Revelstoke, if I pick the town over the job, maybe I'll get the dog. But again, as I'm sure anyone, I guess who's listening to this, who's renting, realizes it's hard to convince someone to rent you when you have a dog. So it wasn't until I got to a really secure housing with amazing landlords. Shout out to them. I won't say their name. And they continue to be like the best landlords I ever had. They allowed the dog. Yeah. And it's been the best thing I've ever done in my entire life.
Nice.
Yeah, a lot of the times I get it. I don't know if when people have dogs and they're like, they'll work all day and then they'll go do something in the evening without their dog. Like I don't get that. Like, I'm leaving here and we're gonna go straight to fire practice. So I'll run home for about half hour to hang out with him and my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Before we're going to practice. But some days it's just like, well, you know what? It's been a tough day. That's another thing. He's been really good. Like when I hit the burnout mark of like, okay, like I got to back it off. It's like, I'm just going to hang out with my dog or that sort of thing. Yeah, it's been incredibly rewarding. Met a ton of great people, both people in town here. Like up at the hill. I'm sure people who watch this will see some of the dogs up at the hill. Those dogs, and then the people within the organizations that I belong to have been so supportive and so unreal in every facet of, for me and Moed as a team, for myself of like this past winter when I was like, something's up, of just like nothing but supportive and helpful. So it's really, really cool of being part of a community like that. Mm-hmm. And every time we go out and train, man, like he like surprises me. Like his like, oh, okay, you're doing this now. I was like, sweet. I guess I don't have to teach that. And yeah, he's a wicked little dog for sure.
Nice. Have you enjoyed and figured out how to marry your teaching with this outdoor first responding world?
Yeah. It was actually from I got a phone call my second year here, from forecaster at the time, who was also a semi-retired teacher like myself, who asked if I wanted to start teaching avalanche. Well, the AST course. Mm-hmm. So yeah, started going that. Taught a bunch of those over the years, and it's it's very similar. Captive audience, who's interested, and it's out and it's basically like an outdoor ed course with more of a rubric,
right?
And then the wilderness first responder courses, same thing, mm-hmm. sort of thing. Although it's hard to like try to remember sometimes, be like, okay, I'm wearing this hat.
Yeah, what's your scope?
So do this. And it's like, oh, wait, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't give them an IV.
Yeah, can't do that.
Yeah, that sort of thing. So, so no, it's been fun. And I mean, like, steal a line from Kapow, it's infotainment. So if people are paying to be there. So you got to make it, interesting and, mm-hmm. and informative.
Yeah. That's what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
Edutainment.
Edutainment?
Education and entertainment.
I think you better leave the branding to them.
Excellent.
I'm probably just blathering now.
No, we're doing good, man. Again, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you at training.
All right, man.
Thanks.